I think you got a clue what's in it. Oh, more stickers. That makes the whole purchase worthwhile, I guess. Welcome to Keeper of the Mountain. Well, we've got a little bit today. You know what I say, do a little bit every day because a lot of littles make a big. Well, let me introduce you to an old friend of mine that we've been friends for years, and even been in business together. And this guy, he has really always held out for me. He's always pulling for me, and he came over today to give me a hand with something. So I want you to meet Paul.
Hello there.
Yes, and he's not real used to the camera, but that's okay. We're going to be doing something today that I've been needing to do for a while, and I'll show you what it is. Let me show you. One of the difficulties that I have with this car is that the wheels are all 4-bolt, and that's typical. It has 1978 Mustang suspension, and 4 bolts is what they had. And they also had 14-inch wheels and tires, and that's all fine and good if you can find 14-inch tires, but they're really hard to come by these days. And in fact, in a lot of places you can't even get a 14-inch tire. Now these tires are brand new. They still have the nipples on them. I mean, they have never driven. You can see that. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Anyway, they're brand new, but the problem is, if I go through the trouble of building this car with 14-inch wheels and tires and 4-bolt, well, I'm really restricted in what I can do, and I might wear out a set of tires and be stuck. So, since I'm putting a 5-bolt rear end in it, I want to make the front end 4-bolt. So I went in a search online to see what to do. Okay, we have this box of toys that I bought, and Paul's going to open it for us here, and we're going to see what's in it. Cool, I bought paper. Oh, more stickers. That makes the whole purchase worthwhile. I get stickers. Another box. I think you got a clue what's in it.
Spindles.
Well, rotors anyway. A piece of card. Oh, no.
That's plywood.
That's plywood. That's high dollar.
That is the thinnest plywood I've ever seen.
That is high dollar. Oh, look what we have here. We have brake discs.
Sealed.
Yes, they are sealed. Well, whack it open. Let's pull one out. There you go. There we go. Look at that. I'm telling you what, ain't that a picture? Those are 5-bolt hubs that fit right on the Mustang 2 suspension.
Nice.
But that's not all. There's more. We also have all the seals and bearings to go with it. So that'll all be new as well.
New races?
And new races and everything.
Yeah.
So the nice part about that is that I know everything's new, and it should fit my 5-bolt wheels that I have. I've got several sets of wheels and tires, and we'll see which ones fit. We'll walk around and check all of our spare tires and wheels and see which ones fit and what we've got to change. So let's go do that now. Okay, we're down in the basement, and I've got 2 different sets of tires. These came off a minivan. They're 5-bolt, but will they fit this? Let's find out. They fit. Okay, now I am shocked. Those fit. The only problem we may have is offset. They might have the wrong offset. But over here we have another set of 5-bolt rims. Now you might remember these from, I had a black Chevrolet that had weird wheels on it. It was a Caprice. I've got a few videos. I might link some of them in the comments here. But these were the snow tires off of it, and these are some pretty good tires. But they have studs on them, so I'd have to rip all the studs out of them if we use them. But let's see if these will fit, because they're not normal Chevy rims, so it's possible they may work. They do not. Okay, so
It's right here.
oh, it's the center is too small? No, I think it's the studs aren't lining up.
No, it won't even go farther than that.
Oh,
Studs aren't even.
okay. Well, then I guess that's not going to work. Okay, so maybe the Dodge minivan wheels will work, but they're off of a front wheel drive vehicle, and so there's quite a bit of back offset, and that might not work. So, but worst comes to worst, I can put them on just for building things, because yeah, they fit beautifully. And so anyway, that's an option. Let's go look at our next option. All right, here's the next one I have to try. I have an old set of Mustang drag slicks here. I mean, you can see how wide these bad boys are. Whew, ridiculously wide for this car. But they do have the right rim shape. These are the kind of rims I want to get, just not this stinking wide. Whew. Anyway, let's see if the bolt pattern is the same, because they're off a Mustang, which is Ford, obviously, but they're 5 bolts. So we'll turn this around and see if this will fit. Just like that. They fit. But once again, an incredibly huge offset. But that's because of how wide the tires are. So anyway, that's another option. Let's try another option. Okay, here's the ultimate moment of truth though. Here's the Cougar that I'm getting the rear end out of for the car. So I know these rims will fit that rear end because hey, they're on there. So will they fit the front end? Let's find out. I figure if it fits the spare, it'll fit the front end. So let's go ahead and drop it down in there, Paul, and see if it fits. Does it?
Nope.
No?
There
Oh, it's that the center thing is too big. Okay. Huh. I wonder if it's the same.
With the style of rims that are on there.
I wonder if that's the case here too. Huh. Might have to ream it out. It looks like the bolt pattern is the same.
No.
No, maybe not. We might have a different bolt pattern.
A little bit off.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. But there's also another set of holes in this rim.
Yes, there is.
And I bet they fit that.
I bet they'll line up to that one.
All right, so that may work. We may have to get...
Because those are out a little bit further.
Yeah, so that's probably the ones we're going to have to use. So I guess the plan is, let's get these, break this on the car. Yeah, these are not permanent wheels. Man, look how badly. These things were curbed like something horrid. And man, whew. So but they're going to hold the car up the same all the way around so that we can get you know, an accurate read here. So all right, well, I guess we're pulling these front wheels off and then we're gonna see what we got to do. Well, here's my next issue. These wheels have fake wire baskets on them, and there is no obvious way to take them off. And there's a wrench that my dad built, and this is the spare tire, and he held it on with a zip tie to the spare tire. I'm assuming that that wrench has something to do with it, but as to where that wrench fits, I don't know. So Paul and I are going to work on this and see what we can figure out. Okay, Paul, you had an idea that we might be able just to spin the basket and get it off of there. Let's see if that works.
All right. Doesn't seem to be getting looser. It actually got tight.
And try it the other direction.
And it got tight.
Okay, all right, well, bring it back to the middle. All right. Well, then let's try this. I've got some wire cutters here somewhere. Let's cut this tool off of here. We can assume that we're going to need this. But a mud wasp built a nest inside the tool, so it won't work too good for that. So I'm thinking, since this is like plastic, there's got to be something under here. So I'm going to peel this plastic off of here. Yeah, thank you. Should never go anywhere without a knife, and I'll tell you why. Because you never know when you're going to run across some cheesecake that needs to be sliced. Okay, I don't think that helped. I wonder if this pops out. Look at that. And I definitely need to clean this out. Get the wasp nest out of here. And I'm seeing and
Look at there.
I bet you this does it. As you know, this thing sat in that field for years. Look at that. Here we go. Pull this out of there. Do I have to pull screws out too? Boy, this is really not handy sitting beside the road with a flat. I am so glad I'm not using these rims. Can you imagine it to bring a whole tool set just to change a flat tire?
Bring the whole team for a tire change.
Yeah, well, I guess that's why they invented pit crews.
Oh, there goes the bottom.
Yeah. I know somebody who needs this. Who needs these wheels. I do. Do you need them?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I know somebody who does. Uncle Rice. Because he has an old Mustang, and these will bolt right on. So anyway, now that we know how to get the baskets off, we can get them off of the car itself, and then we can do this swap-a-rooney.
My son-in-law's got a Mustang.
Does he?
Yeah.
What year?
It's in the 90s.
Yeah, it won't fit. They have 5-bolt wheels. Only in the 70s did they have 4-bolt wheels. Well, they had 4-bolt wheels back in the 60s too.
Well.
It was the 6-cylinder version.
Well, he had a little 4-banger in this thing. It was the Mustang 2 Fox body. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
well, these were before the Fox body. This was 79, I think, was the last year of them. They were the Mustang 2.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
what my son-in-law went and did was he went and took a 2000 Mustang, swapped out the engine, transmission, rear end, and front suspension. What a nightmare.
I bet, because none of that's supposed to work. But that's all right. That's what being a car guy is all about. Doing stuff that ain't supposed to work.
Well, it still don't work. It was 2 years ago.
Okay. All right, now to get these calipers off. Calipers on these Mustangs are different. You gotta, and instead of taking the 2 bolts out of the back like you normally do and pull a caliper out, they've got this little guy right here. You pull this bolt out with a Allen head. And once you have that out, then you take a hammer and you drive this little keeper out of here. Doesn't take a whole lot. You see I'm using a screwdriver. I'm not hurting the screwdriver at all. That out, and then this whole thing lifts right out. And that's off to the side. Now this has brand new brake shoes on it, but they've been sitting there for 10 years. So. But they still look to be in good shape. So I'm going to reuse them. So the next object then is to get this guy off of here. So we're going to take the dust cover off. Now, you should be able to get this off just with a screwdriver. Unfortunately, these were all rebuilt here about 10 years ago, and then the car was parked. So I'm dealing with stuff that's in pretty good shape, all brand new grease and everything. But I am going to get new grease anyhow, because I just have this problem with taking something off and putting it back with the old grease in it. Just bothers me. Yeah, we'll have to pack those new bearings and stuff. You can do that with your hands, but it's greasy. Ew, it's icky. And you can take a pair of channel locks, because these shouldn't be tight. You're not going to have a problem with stripping them out, because they're just not that tight, see? They're almost finger tight, just a little more than finger tight. Because you want them to be able to rotate fine without binding up and prematurely wearing out your bearings. But you want them tight enough they're not loose. So it's kind of a balancing act. You have to just kind of get the feel of it. Just whack that on the side and it pops this tapered bearing out. Yeah, that's what that's for. Pull this out of here. Look at that, all brand new grease and everything. But I'm still going to clean it up and put new grease in it. So now let's pack some bearings. All right, one of the things you need to do when you're changing rotors is you need to put in new bearings, and before you put in new bearings, you've got to pack them with grease. And there's a technique to this. You can get one of those expensive bearing presses or grease presses where you put all the grease in it and you force it through and it forces but I don't have that. So I got to do it the old school way. And these are brand new clean bearings, and this is a brand new tub of grease. We're going to get some grease on it. And you can't put too much grease on it. But what you do is you work this thing around and you roll the bearings as you do it, and you just keep packing the grease in there. At least this is how I'm doing it. And once you have it fully packed full of grease, and then you take a little bit and you put it in here on the bearing race. And I'm using grease that is designed for this use. It's for cars with disc brakes, and what do you know, I have disc brakes. Now I use this kind of grease for a reason. It's you can see it says it's high temperature disc brake wheel bearing grease. And greases are kind of weird, because if you get one that's too high temperature, like a racing grease, you'll think that's better, but it's not. And I'll tell you why it's not better. Because grease that's for racing applications will stay hard until it gets hot. It has to get really hot before it starts lubricating. Well, under normal driving circumstances, you're not going to get hot enough to grease anything. There we go. The seal is in there, and that bearing isn't going anywhere, and it's going to work. Now I got to get my hands clean, and we can do this. So you can put racing temperature grease on bearings and have them be starved for lubrication, because they never get hot enough to soften the grease up. But if you put the right stuff in there, it'll be lubricating when it's supposed to.
At operating temperature.
At operating temperatures, exactly. So, make sure that this seal is down in all the way around. I like using my body hammer for this because I won't ruin the seal. I know most guys will use a ball peen hammer, but that's probably a little big. Yeah.
The surface is rounded, so it doesn't give a...
Yeah, it's slightly rounded on the face. You can see it maybe right there. Slightly rounded on the face, and as a result, it doesn't put little kinks and creases and stuff in the seal. Works quite well. Well, let's go put this hub on. All right, now I know this is brand new grease because my dad did it. Maybe 10 years old, but this car has not been driven on the road since he completely rebuilt this. So I have confidence because I know the mechanic. Some more grease in here. The only way you can over grease these is if you end up getting grease on this part and then put the brake calipers on there, and then the car just won't stop. Hey, but your brakes won't squeak. All right, now we put the nut back on. And oh, that turns this so nicely. Just, yeah, it's not loose, it's not over tight, it doesn't turn hard. We can put the little castle washer on there again, and then we take our cotter pin. There we go. And then we put our cap, dust cap, back on. We have some, there's a hammer, you know. Best,
Universal.
I think I'll use this hammer.
You're a little crooked.
And we put our caliper back on after we put our brake shoe back in. I have this cool little tool just for doing this. Stick it in there like this and you tighten her down. I need just a fraction of an inch. Tighten this down, it just pushes the piston back in. And of course, as you can see here, it's pushing brake fluid back out the lines. So I know it's got brake fluid in there, which means it's not all dried out and crusty. So now that I push that back, I can put this back in there. Next thing is to get this little clip back in. We had to pound it out, so I guess we're gonna have to pound it back in. Lined up just like that. Thread this little guy back in, tighten it down, just like that. There, we have now successfully converted one wheel to 5-bolt. Now we just need to do all that all again, one more time for the other side. Well, we got it done. We have both of the front hubs changed out to 5-bolt, and we have 5-bolt rims on there. We took the front wheels off of the Cougar and used those. And I found something quite interesting. The standard Ford 5-bolt lug pattern is what these particular spindles have. And the 5-bolt lug pattern that the Cougar has is different. But fortunately, the front wheels had both bolt patterns. And so I was able to fit them on. So we'll see what the back bolt pattern is when we use that one, and we'll get it hooked up in this car and see where we can go from there. Hopefully it's the same as the front. I don't know if it is or not. I can't imagine it being different from one end of the car to the other, but you never know, it could be. So at any rate, we're one step closer to getting the rear end in this car and setting it up properly, because now that we have the same size wheels in the front and tires that we're going to have in the back when we're setting it up, we can set it up level and we'll get it right instead of trying to make it work otherwise. So we were going to do the rear axle today and pull it out of the Cougar, but it was raining so stinking hard. It was a lake out there, and I just did not feel like laying in the water in the rain trying to remove the rear end out of a car. So it just was a non-starter. So that'll have to wait till a sunny weekend when we have a day of sunshine, and Paul says he's going to come back and help me. So I want to thank Paul for helping me with the front end, and Dorian and Al showed up partway through the day, and they worked on trying to get this engine running smoothly and everything, and we came to the conclusion that the carburetor is just not the right one for this engine. I thought it was, but because I don't have any of the emissions control stuff, we can't even get it to adjust. So I'm going to have to get an older carburetor, which means I'm going to have to build an adapter and a few other things, but I'm not worried about that right now. Right now, I want to get the rear end in this car and get started on building the body. So I'm looking forward to that. And my little bit for today has been little bitted to death. We got it done. So remember, as I always say, do a little bit every day, because a lot of littles make a big. Enjoy. Oh, and don't forget to click the like button and share if you can, and subscribe if you haven't, and ring that little notification bell so that next time I come out with a video, you'll get it. See you next time. Bye.